So here we are, the Tower of Babel. Again, there's not a whole lot that goes on in here, so I've cut out most of it. You go up a bunch of floors, and then you come across this asshole. This guy, not the guy in red, the guy in white, this guy is Dr. Luga. And as you'll see in a moment, he doesn't make a lot of sense. He is a mad scientist. He kind of fits the same role as Hojo, but he has no role in the story outside of one little bit that doesn't really matter much to anything. He really stands out for all the wrong reasons. It's like if you were going into some pyramid and you suddenly found just a can of Coke. An ancient can of Coke, and you go, what the hell? What is this doing here? Why is this in the pyramid? This can of Coke is 1,000 years old. And then he sends Frankenstein after us. Well, Frankenstein's monster. Although I suppose we can get into a whole debate about Frankenstein versus Frankenstein's monster, but I don't want to. You'll also notice that Yang is dead, because Yang is useless. Yang is one of the most useless characters in any Final Fantasy. He has no armor, but he's a frontline fighter, so he takes a huge amount of damage from every physical hit, which means that he just dies. He's not worth keeping alive, especially after you get power leveled in the Tower of Zot. Hell, Cecil could hold the fort for most of the game at this point. You don't need Yang, just kill him off, let the rest of the party get that little extra experience, and everything will be golden. Yeah, that's what he turns into. A shitting skeleton with missiles on its back. That sprite would have been a lot better if it was 2 or even 3 times as large. You saw from Golbez, they can have very, very big sprites. If this one was bigger, you'd be able to make out more detail to it. The bones could be bigger. It would make more sense. As it stands, it just looks pretty dumpy. And almost amateurish. Fortunately, it's also not very difficult to fight, especially if you've taken the time to power level like this, which means nothing is very difficult to fight. Not the super cannons, oh no! And after this, you just have to run down a handful of floors and use the tower key to go into a specific room. Super cannons. And they're just dark imps. They're just dark imps. These guys weren't a challenge when I first encountered them at the start of the game. Hell, even Rosa kills them with a physical attack. Uh-oh, the dwarves are doomed, even though they could probably just get out of the field of fire. And they had to get Yang out of the party because he's useless, and so they just give him this moment to sacrifice himself, I guess. And now Yang is out of the party. See what I mean? Within 2 hours of the Tower of Zot, you lose Tella at the top of the tower, you lose Sid once you get underground, and then you lose Yang within the Tower of Babel. And again, nothing interesting happens, you just go to the bottom floor of the Tower of Babel. And then something interesting happens. That was just Gulpez's voice. Apparently he's not here, and he's just burning up the bridge behind us. Even though we're on the bottom floor, so we should be on the ground, but then we fall because Sid catches us on the ship. Somehow we don't get splattered by the propellers. It's unclear what just happened. Can we shake them? Yeah, as long as they keep up that pointless serpentine pattern. So Sid's relationship to Rosa is a little unclear. He seems to be her relative, or maybe he's just her legal guardian. At times he seems to be her dad or her uncle, but then sometimes he makes a joke about her falling for him. It's unclear and a little uncomfortable at times, but he just blew himself up anyway, so who cares? Kane doesn't give a fuck. Or maybe they just couldn't figure out a good sad sprite for him. So after all of that, you want to head to Baron Castle, not the city. I just use editing to make it look like I get into the castle. Go to Baron and find his apprentices. They're the blue-clad gentlemen with the bad haircuts who look kind of like Phoenix Wright if you were in a 16-bit RPG. Remember the hovercraft? That vehicle we had for about 20 minutes? Well, now we can get it again for 5 more minutes. I like to imagine his apprentices are just weird twins. But now we have an upgraded hovercraft. Rather, we have an upgraded airship, so we can go get that hovercraft and go meet the final member of our party. But first, I have to remember where the fuck I left the hovercraft. Where did I park the car? So there's Mysidia. That's not where I need to go. Almost there. Come on. Here we go. That's the Tower of Babel in the background, by the way. You think they'd have stories about the Tower of Babel? It's a huge... What's the fucking Tower of Babel? And it's right next to a whole kingdom. Whatever. So Eblan is the city that Rubicant said had been destroyed, and its ninjas were decimated. And this is a nearby cave into which the survivors have fled. And this passage leads to the Tower of Babel from the overworld. But it's not very interesting, so here we go. Our final party member is up ahead. Fun fact, if you look through the Sky, Yoshitaka Amano's art book, you'll see that Edge is actually named Edward, and Edge is his middle name. So for whatever reason, there are 2 characters in this game named Edward. Now, unfortunately, Edge doesn't join the party at the same level as Cecil. Kane, Rydia, Rosa, they all joined in the mid-50s because that's where Cecil was. Edge joins at a set level 20, which is ridiculous for a couple of reasons. It means he's not strong enough to keep up with the rest of the party. It also means he's not even strong enough where he ought to be at this point in the game. I don't think you could have made it to this point unless your party was at least in the mid-30s, maybe even early 40s. And yet he is lagging far, far behind, and I think it's solely so they could have that little fight there. I hope they rectify that in the various other re-releases of this game. Maybe the GBA version does, maybe the DS version does, the PC version, which is just a port of the DS version. There's probably an Android and iPhone version. I hope in later editions they fix it, because it's actually a huge detriment to your party, having effectively one party member who's just useless. And yeah, that's the sort of character that Edge is, so get used to it. He's your last hero of light.